My name is Nirav Tarakia. I'm part of the DNA Spaces team. And today we'll talk about how can we enable smart buildings with DNA Spaces. So just quick thing, when we want to understand how we are delivering smart buildings or solutions that are built on top of the Cisco infrastructure, we will be covering two aspects of those suites of solutions. However, we will not have time to cover all of them. So just understand that we are covering a subsection of the use cases that can be used to deliver essentially what can be considered a smart building, right? So the first one that we will be taking a look at is called smart workspaces, right? The era of hybrid work is here. There is no denying it. Even here, we are in this room. We had people coming from who were remote, and really customers and companies are now trying to understand how can they leverage their infrastructure, their real estate infrastructure, their IT investments to deliver a smarter hybrid work solution. So the first one that we are doing here is called smart workspaces, right? It is a Cisco on Cisco offering. I'll give you a quick introduction about what it does, and then we'll go into how it does that. So it's a Cisco on Cisco offering, works across the stack. So you have Catalyst hardware that we talked about. You can use that with switching. You have Meraki infrastructure, Meraki video, WebEx, all of that in conjunction with third-party IoT devices, be it wired or wireless. You get all of that data into DNA Spaces, and you deliver all of these use cases that the business or the company is looking for. So if I am a hybrid worker, I care about an amazing experience as I'm coming in. So we have heard about, hey, I can get all this data in. Yes, you can get all the data in. You can create all of the dashboards that you want. You can create some, tools around it, but it is very high. It is very IT focused, whereas that is not really helpful for me as an employee, as a visitor. I'm not going to look at the dashboard or the reports. While they are important, they are not the complete solution. So we can see all of that. We can drive things like occupancy, air quality, temperature, humidity, all of that thing that we have heard before. But how do we deliver it in a manner that is scalable as well as useful? Productivity, I can quickly find out where I am, which conference rooms are available, how do I get there, how do I book it? How many people are in there, how many people are using that? Yes, once again, you have all of that data. You can generate trends, reports, yes, but unless it's done in a manner that is a complete suite, it is nearly useless and not scalable. Same thing with real estate. They want to know about utilization. So two key people that this is going to be important for. Again, there's the front of the house or the person that is using the solution. And then there's the back of the house, the IT teams, the facilities teams. And then again, they are going to be using the solution. They need that information. They need the trend lines, the dashboards, yes. But it has to be a complete solution. Many vendors, have subsets of solutions. Hey, I can do a part of it. I can do only room booking. I can do only like navigation with like 2D maps. It's not really visually friendly, or it's super expensive. So that is what smart workspaces is going to do. So now let's look at the components that we have looked at. Hey, how it does it. So the first component with smart workspaces is called the rich maps. So when we look at maps in networking, there are network maps, be it on DNS Center, be it on Meraki, be it on WebEx, or any other vendor as well. These network maps are primarily meant to be a way to structure your IT devices in a manner that IT is able to consume that and manage it, but it doesn't really have any business context. I can't use a network map to create a solution out of it. And then we also have facilities maps or CAD maps or real estate maps, whatever you want to call it. It has a lot of metadata. There is the concept of rooms. You have the ability to know how many rooms are there in the maps, how many walls are there, what is the square footage. Yes, all of that data is there, but I can't just take a CAD file and put it somewhere and expect that to be a solution as well. So what we do is we have all of this information. We take that CAD file, we run it through our mapping engine where we deconstruct that entire CAD file into code and reconstruct it into this fully 3D dynamic vectorized rich map. So that forms that visual aspect, the thing that is going to be appealing to the hybrid worker or someone that wants to use this as a solution and not just look at a dashboard with just a bunch of charts. That's one component of how do we create this rich map. And then the other thing is when we have that, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Quick question on the CAD. Do you have any requirements for the CAD file? Like, for instance, if everything is on the same layer, is this going to work? Or like a specific...
we can do it. The more layers there are, the better it is, the easier it is, the quicker it is. But we have some recommendations, some guidelines that say at least make sure you have all of the components. Like you have, if you want to get a good quality CAD file, as an example here, you want to add the furniture. Make sure it's not just a bunch of boxes that you would have in a network map in general. So you need to have like furniture, make sure your walls are there, make sure that room names are there. The more data that is in the CAD file, the better the rich map is going to be. It's not that if you don't have the furniture, it won't work. It will work, but it won't look at it. Yeah.
And so the engine is smart enough to detect which layer is used for the room numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Room numbers, room names, all of that is going to be essentially each part becomes a deconstructed part of it. That allows us to fix things as well, and you can fix it as well. So once the rich map is created, you get the flexibility to make changes. Like, hey, I need to change the room name. The CAD file had something else. I need to change the room name. You can edit the CAD file, the rich map to your liking, and then you say, all good. This is my floor map.
So you don't necessarily need to edit the CAD file before you import it?
Not necessarily, but what we have seen is that generally it's not IT that maintains these CAD files, and the teams that do that are always in the process of updating it anyways. So that's the big reason why you want to use facility maps, because generally they are mandated to have the very latest maps in the first place, because other businesses use that map as well.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes for us to get these.
Yes, yeah, I agree. But it gives that, when you look at the demo, you realize why it is always been a challenge to do this. So moving a little quicker.
One more question on the CAD files. What formats do you support?
So today we have tried with DWG. I have to check if we have officially opened it for other formats as well, but so far it's only been DWG.
Thank you.
All right. So then there are two other aspects of the solution. One is called essentially your building and floor level view. This is going to give you all of the information on that building, occupancy, temperature, humidity. Again, you see that in other solutions. Yes, you can get all the data. You can write your own scripts and make it work. But doing it at scale in a way that the hierarchy makes sense, that's what you'll get in this view, as well as you see room view, where you get all of the details about an individual room itself. All right. So in terms of the architecture, so this exists today. Nothing has changed. You are all familiar with it, even if you have never seen smart workspaces, which is you can integrate your Catalyst, your Meraki infrastructure to DNA Spaces. That already has the information that allows us to do X, Y, that allows us to do the hierarchy. You can find all of that occupancy information, sensor information, all there. Then you have the WebEx devices that are going to give you all of the information that is going to the control hub directly. Nothing new there as well. What is new is now we have this cloud-to-cloud integration between control hub and WebEx. So if you had seen before the way integration had to be done in WebEx and DNA Spaces, it was really difficult, had to be done manually. Now it's as simple as copying a token, putting it in DNA Spaces, and you start getting all of the data from all of the different devices to power room level information, room level metrics. You upload your CAD files, you create a hierarchy that works across all of the networks. That is huge, because I can just as well say, hey, I want to ingest data from this third-party solution. I want to ingest data from XYZ, all these third-party solutions. They all have their sensors. Yes, but it's not the same hierarchy. What will you do when you have 10 buildings or 100 buildings with many floors? How do you make sense of where the sensor is? So that is a big problem that no one really is talking about. But what we are solving is with a hierarchy that works across. So then there is a common structure, and then you make all of that work on top of it. All right, so I'm going to quickly go into a demo of the smart workspaces solution. I just showed that it is actually not meant to be used on a browser. It's meant to be used on a WebEx device or any sort of signage. So I can see quickly this building view. I can see this is live in San Francisco. I can see the occupancy over time as well as historical. I can see air quality of the building. That data is coming from WebEx. I can see all of the floors as well, their occupancies. Now, this is my mouse cursor, but this is a person that is using that solution, right? That's the front of the house. So here you see that rich map. It's very contextual. You can quickly find out where you are. That is important for this worker that might not even know where a desk is. They don't have a desk anymore. So how do I get to an empty room quickly? I can see all of the other information of the floor as well, temperature, humidity. Now, this is all from any sensor. It could be coming from our Catalyst APs, the ones that you heard about from the sensors, and all of that works across. You can use Catalyst, Meraki, WebEx, anything, sensors, all of that will power this solution, and it can be mixed and matched. So I can quickly find out other points of interest. I can quickly find out, the elevators, and all of this is configurable as well. Now I can find that, hey, there is a conference room that is available. It's close to me, good air quality, good temperature, good humidity. This information is coming from WebEx, could be from any other device. And I like this. I need it to do the work for the day. I'm going to hold it and I can walk to that particular room. Then it becomes occupied. Right?
So on these, sorry, a question. On these diagrams, I'm not seeing people.
So on this map, the location of people, not right now. No.
Okay, but it's coming down the road.
It's something that we are looking at, but it's primarily not meant to be this IT mapping or asset tracking use case in this view. If anything, it might be a different view down the line that will allow us to have the same X and Y that we have in detect and locate. But that is something that, is not, I don't know for sure when or if it will happen.
You could have privacy issues that
Yeah, this is, again, as you walk into the lobby, you see this view. You probably don't want to see where everyone is, but as a potential app or something, because we do have an SDK that will also push the same rich map. So customers can create that map and that app on their own. So this is just a different...
Have a follow-up question for me? Sorry. Integration with cameras?
Meraki cameras?
Yeah.
So Meraki cameras today allows us to get occupancy of a particular floor or a building. Mm-hmm. That can be used to power. This one, as an example, I wanted to show that you can choose. This one does not need to have occupancy or they don't have all of the infrastructure, but you can use that to power occupancy.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one, as an example, is powering CO2 using third-party wired sensors. Perfectly valid use case. And this is just an example because I wanted to make sure you understand it's not a browser solution. It's meant to be used as a sign-up solution. So it can be used with non-interactive signages. You're walking in, you see all of this. This is all live. Could be interactive, could be non-interactive. It can also be used to power things like a WebEx navigator. So you see that view directly on the room. So you know it's occupied or available. You can hold it. It can also be used on different types of devices. I have a demo in the back because, again, it won't look here very good in the stream. All right. This is more of the back of the house demo. So we looked at the front of the house, the view for a person that is going to be using this. But again, for IT, for real estate managers, this is a demo of an app called Environmental Metrics. Allows us to compare all of the different types of environmental metrics across our properties, across all of the infrastructure. So I can quickly see if any of my environmental metrics are going above a certain threshold. Because again, as real estate manager, I don't need to know every single detail in a chart. All I need to know is there a problem? If there is a problem, how do I know what it is, where it is? How do I generate alerts? But I don't need to create massive reports just for the sake of it. So I can quickly see, as an example here, temperature. I can compare different buildings, what has been the temperature over time, compare humidity if I need to. All of the data is there. Doesn't necessarily need to be shown just, again, for the sake of it. So I can quickly see, hey, the ambient noise, max, min, average, over time, compare buildings, compare floors, all of that good stuff exists. All right, moving on. Cool. Yeah, thanks. So next, I want to talk about the other part of the solution that can help power smart workspaces, smart buildings with indoor IoT services. This is the problem. Basically, the problem that we are solving here is really how do we tightly couple the IT and OT integration? Again, there are solutions out there that focus only on the IT stuff. I can create as many widgets, charts, all of that. Yes. There are companies that will do things like OT stuff. Hey, I can do all of these sensors, but that's it. I can't really do much. So how do we make it all work together in a way that is scalable, right? So the problem with IoT in general, and this, again, this is the only slide where you'll see the word wired because we are at Mobility Field Day. Moving on, there won't be any wired, but I just wanted to show it here because the problem exists on both sides. So when moving forward, when we talk about only wireless, just remember that it applies on the switching side as well, applies on the wired side as well, where generally you have essentially these silos of a vendor or a software provider that will do a certain outcome. And if you want to do anything more, let's say you want to run tomorrow a wayfinding application, go find another vendor. It will have its own hardware. They will have their own software in a stack. The problem that we are solving here is with this middleware architecture that allows DNA spaces and catalyst access points and switches to get all of the data from all the different types of sensors. So it can be from multiple vendors, multiple price points. You can buy a type of sensor from one, and tomorrow, hey, I did not like it, or I need a cheaper one. Just buy a different one. All that will work in conjunction with the DNA Spaces cloud that allows us to get data from all of the sensors and then send it to any type of application that is on the DNA Spaces ecosystem. So that really drives this multi-vendor many-to-many model that you see here. Now you see I have removed switches here, but again, doesn't have to be. It works for both, but we are talking about wireless. Big things that I just want to highlight is right here. Of course, there are gateways. Yes, you can install. You have heard more about the fact that people can do gateways on the APs. Yes, you can do gateways. All of that is there. The big thing is that Cisco can actually manage these devices. So all of the third-party sensors that you see, more or less, you might have a time where you need to configure it. Hey, I bought these beacons in bulk. I need to change their power levels. I need to change their time of frequency of broadcasting because I need it for a longer time. The battery should last longer. I need to bump up the power for wayfinding. Could be anything. I need to be able to manage those, and you can do all that with the DNA Spaces platform directly. No other vendor gateway needed, no other mobile app needed. Catalyst access points can actually do all of that completely remotely and at scale. So once again, there are solutions out there that will do it in a smaller manner, good enough to do a demo. That's it. But when you're talking about it at scale, that's really where you start seeing problems. So again, only focusing on the BLE side, you have the BLE APs that are everywhere. They talk to all of these types of BLE devices. Multi-vendor approach. You have a DNA Spaces connector in between. If you're not familiar with it, it is a piece of software that runs on-prem, and it is essentially a protocol converter. Really lightweight, 2 vCPUs. All it does is it can talk to controllers, it can talk to APs, it can talk to switches, it can talk to different AAA servers for open roaming. So it is this one-stop shop for enabling all DNA Spaces use cases, including IoT and BLE. We use gRPC to control all of the BLE data, configuration of the APs, and then we use netconf and TDL to manage and control the WLC, which needs to be a 9800. All of the data is processed in the cloud, then it can be sent up to partners as well. So I just want to quickly go over the demo of it. So we are in the DNA Spaces dashboard here. I'm going into IoT services. Just want to show you how you can use the concepts of gateways. So you can see, again, AP gateway as well as wired gateway. Again, the demo is not going to focus on the wired part. But I can see that I have, 10 APs, 6 of them are advanced BLE gateway, and 4 of them are base. What that means is the ones that have this app running on the access points. Yes, Docker containers, same thing, but it is pushed from DNA Spaces, not from any other entity. And when you have that app running, it can then also manage those devices. Why does it keep zooming out on me? So I am showing you like a 9166 access point here, the ones that you saw today. You can see all of the sensor information that Fred had talked about, because again, it's one thing putting sensors in stuff, right? It's one thing to actually put a sensor in every device, every other vendor putting devices and sensors and everything in one. And it's completely different to actually use that in a manner that is useful and scalable. So that I just wanted to show you that you can see all of the data. It can be sent everywhere in all of the different applications as well. Next, we are looking at all of the BLE devices, right? So if I look at the BLE device list, I can see how often they were heard. I can see all of the telemetry information from them. I can search by labels. So I can quickly find out, again, groups, labels, names, and I have a structure around them. So I use the same hierarchy that works for WebEx, that works for Meraki, that works for IoT, so that I can mix and match. Hey, this is a sensor that is triggered in this particular building, and here is a Meraki camera in this WebEx, in this room that has a WebEx device. Having a common hierarchy is that important, but not a lot of people talk about it. So we can quickly see, more details about the sensor. Same things. You can see the details from the APs. You can see the details from sensors. This is a different sensor that has all of the telemetry, its temperature in this one. This is like a CO2 one. You can see a gas sensor. You can see carbon dioxide information, TVOC, all of that information, because that is then used in applications such as smart workspaces. Could be used in applications such as third-party application vendors. Could be used in all of the different partners that we have, right? So it's not something that is going to be limited only in this app. It's there so you understand that we are getting all of this data and then powering it for other business outcomes. That is what this is all about. I can configure beacons that I just mentioned. So again, just from DNA Spaces, I want to change a setting of this third-party beacon, sitting somewhere, God knows where. I'm sitting in, San Jose. The beacon is across the world, and I want to change how often it is beaconing. I can do it in bulk if needed, or again, for this demo, I'm just going to pick one. So I want to pick one. I can see all of the different settings that are available for me to change. So interval, power, what I'm beaconing. I want to mix and match multiple different ones. I can turn on, turn off, whatever is needed. I can make that change and hit save. DNA Spaces in conjunction with the Catalyst access points will make that configuration change. No other entity needed, no mobile app, other gateways needed.
Now, I can use this in an office environment, in a factory environment, warehouses. Any plans outside?
Well, again, it can be anywhere where you have the Catalyst APs, but I use it in my home. But it's all about having the right APs in that location.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you one more demo of a different application. Once again, you have seen how the DNA Spaces dashboard provides that, but how can you actually use it in real world? So as an example, this is an application that allows me to quickly do things like temperature monitoring or asset tracking or presence detection. But more importantly, it allows customers to see what can they do with it, because then they can be alerted. They can create those triggers. They can see things on the map as needed. So this is, again, just as an example, you can see all of this information. I'm going to create a use case, just, whatever name I want to give it. So this is for the MFD demo. So I'm going to create a temperature monitoring use case, which will have some differences from asset tracking, right? In temperature monitoring, the rules will all be focused on temperature and so on. Whereas asset tracking, you'll have the map. You can quickly find location of assets on the map as needed. So I'm going to import different sensors. So you can see I can have multiple sensors all imported in once, or I can use a CSV file to import only the specific ones that I need. I can use groups if needed. They're all part of DNA Spaces. And I just want to pause here because I wanted to show you, it became a little blurry. But I have WebEx, I have Catalyst, I have some BLE sensors, just to show you that it doesn't have to be only BLE. I'm running a temperature use case. All of these sensors have that temperature sensor built in, or those hardware has that. So I can create that rule if the WebEx device that is in this room goes above a particular temperature. I want to create an alert. I don't have to put a temperature sensor everywhere. I have Catalyst APs. I can use that. I have 36, 9136, 9166. Feel free to use that. If not, I can always use BLE devices, right? So that's just, I wanted to show you. But in the new thing that I wanted to show was I can do that with MT as well. So yes, you saw that I can do that with Catalyst and other BLE devices. But here I'm doing the same thing, but with MT sensors. So once again, I'm doing just an import. I can see that I have my hierarchy. I can make it work across the hierarchy that makes sense to me. I can create rules based on specific flow levels, specific zones, all of that. And then I can add those sensors and I can see that, hey, all the sensors are added, 4 sensors added. If I go in the sensors tab, I see all of those same things. You can see the health, you can see the location hierarchy, you can see the temperature of that and all of that. So I'm running out of time. Just want to give you a quick. So yes, you can see all of the temperature and you can create these kind of rules. So you can create a rule that says, hey, I want to be alerted when something happens, when a temperature is in a certain range, let's say between 10 and 20. I can drag and drop, makes it really easy to use rules. I can add different things. If this happens, I want to log an event, but I also want to send an email. I want to be alerted, and I can create all sorts of notification limits. So I don't want to be alerted all the time. Again, this is the more of the back of the house, the IT side of things that wants to use all of this to provide that information. I can mix and match as many different conditions as I want. So only when this happens, when this particular thing is happening, then do all of these things. So it's really then if this and that, then that kind of a rule engine that allows IT to do it in a much more simpler way than before.
I'm not really familiar with the WebEx devices. So what type of devices comes into that family of WebEx devices?
So you have essentially multiple WebEx devices. You have the desk series. An example is behind you. The desk series have sensors. The room series have sensors, as well as the board series have some sensors as well.
Okay.
The board series have limited sensors, but when you add a navigator to it, then the navigator has all of the environmental metrics kind of sensors. So temperature, humidity, air quality, all of that is in the navigator. The board has the cameras. So you can see how many people are there, whether the room is occupied or not. It has the ambient, like essentially motion detection. So it uses that. So the board, the room, and the desk series all have sensors that can feed data into DNA Spaces.
And they're connected to the network via Wi-Fi or Ethernet, I guess?
It doesn't matter. The data goes from the device to WebEx Control Hub.
Okay.
That is where we have a direct integration. So you can pick and choose this particular device. I want to put it on the rich map in this room. That's it. Then if someone walks in, the rich map becomes red. It's occupied, right? That's what.
Okay. So they don't have like a BLE radio in them. Okay. You use the AP for that.
You don't even need that because the data from those WebEx devices go over the network to Control Hub. You can see that information in Control Hub as well. But once again, it doesn't combine together. Yes, WebEx data is in Control Hub.
Mm-hmm.
MT data is in Meraki. Catalyst data is in our Catalyst ecosystem. It's something that needs to combine everything together in a manner that is scalable and works in different types of hierarchies. That's like the big one.
How do you handle security since you've got sensors everywhere? You'll be able to detect certain people, faces. You'll be able to pick up audio files with the...
So that, for example, face detection. Yes, that is a feature in WebEx. It is turned off by default. But if you as WebEx admin wants to use that feature, that is not something that DNA Spaces gets. If I had time, I would have shown the WebEx integration demo. You actually see exactly what data DNA Spaces is getting. Face is not up to it, but in WebEx, you can see if you turn it on.